Hi everyone, welcome to Hack the Classroom. I'm Anthony from Microsoft, and thank you so much for joining our 8th Hack the Classroom event here live in Philadelphia at the ISTE event. I know many of you can't be here with us live, but we're so excited to have you join Hack the Classroom virtually and experience the amazing things we're sharing here and some amazing speakers. But before we get started, we're here in the Microsoft booth at ISTE. Let's take a look at what we're experiencing and showing what's going to be coming soon to your classrooms. Let's take a look. We've got some great experiences from Microsoft, some new Hacking STEM lesson plans, some experiences around what's coming in classrooms with new innovations coming to teams, some great experiences from Microsoft partners. I'm excited about what's happening here, but I'm even more excited about the next speakers that we have coming up. Today's theme is all about changemakers. Are you a changemaker? If not, I hope you're going to inspire to be one by embracing a growth mindset and learning from our next speakers. Now, after the sessions, you'll have an opportunity to join us live for questions. Hashtag Hack the Classroom and hashtag question, so you can participate live in our live Periscope event right after the show. Sonia will be going through your questions, and I hope to have a great discussion with all of you. After that, please make sure you go to the Microsoft Educator Community HTC June 19 to get your Hack the Classroom badge to make sure your presence was known. Thanks very much for joining. Our first speaker today is a third grade teacher from the LeBron James Family Foundation's I Promise School in Akron, Ohio, as part of the Akron Public School System. She's in her 5th year of education in an urban setting, and she's here to share how she and other teachers in her school are using the power of social and emotional learning to make a difference every day and share the impact it's having on her students. Take it away, Jessica.
The I Promise School was created thanks to a partnership between the LeBron James Family Foundation and Akron Public Schools. This partnership began 7 years ago. The foundation wanted to work to reach their scholars both academically and social and emotionally. However, this was challenging with having our scholars across the district. Therefore, they knew that the next steps was going to be to create one school for all of its scholars, and that was the I Promise School. Scholars are selected to attend the I Promise School based on a lottery system. Those who have trend data that show that they are reading at the 25th percentile or lower by the middle of 2nd grade are placed into a lottery. There were approximately 600 scholars that fell into this category. However, that number just was not sustainable. Therefore, 120 scholars were randomly selected through this lottery to attend. Scholars and their families attended a meeting during the middle of their 2nd grade year to finalize their enrollment into I Promise. We strive to ensure that our school encompasses students from all of our clusters to create a balance. All of the staff at the I Promise School have a similar belief, and that is that we create an environment that is loving and compassionate for our scholars and our families, and that is of the utmost importance. At the I Promise School, we focus on 5 habits of promise, and that is to help our scholars acquire qualities that will help them become strong community members. Those habits of promise are perseverance, perspective, problem solver, partner, and perpetual learner. At the beginning of the school year, we try to teach these habits of promise to explicitly show them what these words are, what they mean, and examples of them. But then we stretch our scholars to recognize these habits of promise within themselves and others and understand that these are habits that are going to carry them through all walks of life. The I Promise School has 3 guiding principles, one being trauma-informed and responsive, meaning that we support the whole child and we strive to create an environment that encompasses their social and emotional needs and respect what they have experienced trauma-wise before coming to us. Therefore, we are very mindful of all of their needs, social and emotionally. Our promise circles that we conduct each day is similar to a restorative circle, and this came because of the LeBron James Family Foundation's initial plans to starting our school. We start by listening to a song that I have chosen for that specific day. The song's themes typically tend to be inspirational, motivational, or encouraging, and I try to select songs from a variety of genres to allow for a cultural exposure. But before listening, I always share that you can have your eyes opened or closed, your heads can be up or down, but be comfortable with where you are. Notice what you're feeling going through your mind and your body and become aware of it. And prepare your mind and your body for the day that awaits you ahead. And after listening to the song, we transition into sharing our promise for the day. We pass around a healing drum to identify the speaker. And I prompt our sharing with, what can you do today to demonstrate the best version of you? No matter where you are, who you're with, or what you're doing, what are you going to do to be better? And the scholars at the beginning of the year are definitely reluctant to share, but gradually they all begin to share. Sometimes they share with just a beat on the drum, but they always encourage one another. Scholars decide their promise, and they greatly differ. Sometimes scholars will select promises based off of the habits, and they usually choose the ones that they know they struggle with the most. Other times, scholars will choose to share a promise of something that happened the day before and how they want to fix that for this present day, and they want to make themselves better. But what's really neat is that other times scholars will share something that maybe happened at home or on the bus or on their way into the classroom, and they'll share how this has disrupted their peace, and they'll ask their classmates for help and strategies to get them going. And it's really neat because we make sure that our words are not worthless and we put action behind them. And so we hold a promise circle in the middle of our day to do a check-in and a share out. And it's really amazing because our scholars will hold one another, and myself included, accountable, saying, now don't forget your promise for the day, or maybe you should try going to the cool down corner so that you can get yourself back on track for your promise. And the accountability is amazing. I get to share my promise with them, and I expect them to hold me accountable for my promise as well, and they do exactly that. After learning about Microsoft's Hacking STEM lessons, I was extremely excited, and I felt so inspired and motivated to make these unique learning experiences happen for my scholars, and I wanted my team to feel the same way. We plan to complete the Brain Gong unit within our third grade scholars. And this particular unit was about the brain, and it was extremely important because of the social and emotional connections in learning that we strive to create within our learning environment. Our scholars can always feel the emotions surging through their bodies. They can feel their reactions, and sometimes they can even identify the triggers that are causing these emotions. However, they don't understand that this is happening because of the functions of the brain. Therefore, understanding their brain and the functions of it and why this is happening to me and why I'm demonstrating these emotions is so important. When you understand the system that is running you, you respect it. And this unit was initially created for 6th through 8th graders and planned for 50 minutes for a week session. However, this learning experience was going to need to be redefined if my scholars were going to be successful and if it was going to be made functional for my teaching team. So I found all of the components to be important and valuable. So I decided to use the entire unit of the Brain Gong lesson. However, what I did first was I printed out the student guides and I printed off the teacher guides and I highlighted and made marginalia. But the one thing that I kept in the forefront of my mind while planning was making sure I understood the lesson's objectives. So then I used PowerPoint to create the slides in an easy-to-read layout for the entire unit. The slides took on different purposes. Some of them were for teacher reference, others were for student reference, and sometimes it was even just to drive discussion or inquiry. For instance, the first lesson covered the introduction, the prior knowledge, and the vocabulary, and all of these things were vital pieces for my scholars to be successful moving forward. So we decided to start with a hook where scholars had a chance to put a peach in a jar and slam it against each side repeatedly. And then they completed with their group what happened to the peach both before and after the accident. Next, we had the opportunity to use the discussion questions from the lesson, but we put it into a KWL chart, which is something that my scholars are extremely familiar with and definitely developmentally appropriate for them. And in addition to that, to make sure that they understood the vocabulary, we did sort of like a jigsaw within our classroom, where they had the opportunity to pick a word and use that word and dig into it deep, but then they taught the entire class that vocabulary. This entire unit was extremely beneficial, but one of my scholars' favorite parts was creating the brain hats. And those brain hats were amazing because they were able to color code and see the functions of the brain and the different sections. And even later, after the conclusion of this unit, they were able to reference the different parts of their brains as they were participating in different activities, and that is just amazing. Scholars had ample opportunities to truly engage in active learning, and that was driven by their own inquiries, their drive to understand those personal connections as to why their body and their social and emotional learning and their brain were working all together and how that was happening. And this is vital for our scholars to have social and emotional learning be a part of their school day. I've witnessed the effects and it truly is amazing. And they are becoming stronger individuals and they're putting themselves into a mindset that is letting them be able to be strong learners. With this innovative STEM curriculum like Hacking STEM and the We Are Family philosophy that the LeBron James Family Foundation has created, we have found an incredible recipe for success at the I Promise School. And in 1 year's time, our scholars have shown amazing growth. And in our winter map, they have shown 90% either meeting or exceeding their expected growth. And we expected to see this, but not in such a short time period. It truly is remarkable, and special things are happening at the I Promise School. And our scholars don't get your typical summer. They get to do a 4-week program of hands-on learning, an innovative curriculum, and it's exciting, and we're excited for them to continue their social and emotional learning along with this innovative curriculum throughout their summer. And I'm encouraging you to implement that social and emotional learning within your classroom because you truly have nothing to lose but everything to gain for both your scholars and yourself. So please try that today. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jessica. I'm really amazed by your focus on social and emotional learning and the impact that you're making by modifying the Hacking STEM curriculum to make a big difference on the lives of your students. Next up, we're going to hear from an amazing changemaker, Samantha Skubal, who's developed a program in our high school called the Technology Internship Program. It's helping to prepare students for the future by leaving high school with real-world experiences, and it's having a dramatic impact on their lives. Before we hear from Samantha, let's take a look inside our high school with a great video. Let's roll the video.
I think one of the main reasons why we wanted to do this is we just want to kind of take this time to celebrate you and, you know...
I'm gonna cry.
No, don't cry yet. I haven't said anything. You've been that change maker in the education, you know, here at Morton. You and Mr. Beisman were those pioneers in creating TSI. And, you know, a semester at TSI really changed my life.
TSI is a program that services all of the laptops in the district. We revolved it around students being the voice in the classroom and the kids running the room.
Can I get my leaders over here?
As you come here, you form a family.
So what's going on with you today?
You become very attached to the people here, the laptops themselves, like the motherboard, like it's like their heart. You're fixing it, you become a doctor to them.
Key component, trust. I just tell the kids everything's fixable, so give it your best shot. The kids are willing to take that risk, and part of that risk is just growing friendships, trusting people. That's what happens in this room.
I feel like giving them that confidence and that self-worth has really allowed them to feel like their job is important, because they are. They're important.
With you always being there and giving me advice, having somebody to talk to, and knowing that I can rely on. Thank you for showing me the type of woman that I want to be.
There are a lot of firsts here for me. It would be, you know, my first job, the place where I would be able to develop as a leader. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to be vulnerable.
Item number 10, student board member reports. Mr. Salins, please.
Thank you, President and members of the board. Looking back now, like I know that I'm ready to go to that next, like, you know, level.
Yeah, you are.
This is are a type of safe haven here. You guys are family.
The kids are everything to me. They're the reason why I do what I do every day. They're the reason why I wake up to come to work. We're such a family, and we want to just do whatever it takes to ensure that our kids succeed. I see who they are. I want the world to see who they are too.
Hi, my name is Samantha Skubal. I am the Director of Instructional Technology for J. Sterling Morton High School District 201 in Illinois. We serve 8,500 students from 6 different communities. Today, I am looking to talk to you about the process that my colleagues and I went through to start our technology internship program, which we call TSI. I hope that the successes and challenges that we went through and are still going through can help you start such a program in your district or school system as well. So the first thing that we really did was try and understand our school district's needs. Really, you have to start with understanding, what do you want your TSI program to do? Do you want your TSI program to service a need in your school system, or are you looking for it to really service a need in your classroom specifically? In our case, we had a district-wide need. We had 2,200 freshman laptops, which begged the question of who will fix and troubleshoot all of these devices? And we answered that question with TSI. TSI really helped facilitate all of the fixing and troubleshooting of the laptops and made sure that none of that was an issue anymore. So when you're doing this in your district or school system, really think about what will this service? What needs does your school district or classrooms need? The second thing is establish your vision. So think to yourself, what does your vision need to look like? What are the goals that you want your TSI program to achieve? In our case, we really wanted to revolve the TSI program around not only teaching students how to understand technology and fix devices, but also how to be professionals. So our goals really revolve themselves around that. Also, think about what you want your vision to be. We really want our vision to be student-centered and our students to lead the classroom and own their learning. So a lot of our vision really revolved around that. So you also will have to think about what you want your vision and your goals for your students to be. Next, surround yourself with advocates. So who in your district do you think your advocates will be? In our case, one of our first advocates really had to be our school board, which they're crucial in the sustainability of our program. But for you in your district, it might be a colleague or an administrator or even students and families. Whoever you think decide who will be your advocates, because these are the people that are really going to push your vision forward. And if you're an administrator, for example, this could be a teacher that you feel like could teach the class who you think really understands your vision. And for teachers, this could be a colleague that you think you can collaborate with, but also an administrator who will not only be able to push your vision forward, but also will be able to talk for you when you don't have a seat at the table or you're not in the room. Things that I feel are really important. Next, you have to take all that and formalize your vision. So think about your formal processes. How are you going to then take all this stuff and put it into a nice package? And how are you going to now gain more advocates for your program? So what we did is we had established committees who really went into what is the device that we're going to use and what is the TSI program going to look like. But the really important part about this is we didn't just invite people in that were already bought into our vision. We invited everybody into this process. So like most good things in life, it's better when there are multiple perspectives that are considered and valued. This is no different. People at the table really want to have an opinion, and we really think that you should invite everybody. So long story short, invite all and allow all to have an opinion. This will ensure that your vision and whatever processes that you have moving forward are not only well-rounded, but they're accepted by many. Just like everything, communication is key. This is no different. So you've taken all of everything into account. You've had a sat at the table. You and your advocates have came up with your vision. Now it's time to communicate that out to everybody and anyone. Talk to everyone, tell it to the world. You have put together this brilliance and this beautiful little package, and it's time to get excited about it and get other people excited about it. In our district, our communication plan really includes flyers sent home, newsletters. We have a lot of information on social media, and a lot of stuff comes from our feeder districts as well. So for this feeder district specifically, we go to a lot of events, principal events, open houses, things like that. And what this does is it gets our 7th and 8th grade students already excited about TSI before they ever step into our building, which is really powerful. And really, I would think about in your district as well, what is your communication plan and how are you going to push this forward? Because you really want to make sure that the message that is communicated is the message that you want to be communicated. So make it a big deal. This is really important to me. Throughout the year in TSI, we remind our students every day that they are a big deal, because they are. They literally are in charge of making sure that teaching and learning happens in our school district because of the work that they do in the TSI classroom. So in your district as well, make the kids feel like this is important. One thing that we have done in the past is we had students apply, interview, and be accepted into the program. So spoiler alert, every student that applies gets into the program. The point of this was not so students could be excluded or not allow people to participate. The point of this was for the students to think that they are a big deal and that this is special. Now they are a big deal and it is special, just of course because of their perseverance, their grit, their genuine kindness and love and passion, but also because we had teenagers who actually came in on their spring break in formal suits and dresses to interview. It was amazing. But in your district as well, making these types of changes and making these steps will really help students feel like they're a big deal and like this is a big deal, which will then translate into your school community as well. So now that the students know that they're a big deal, it's time to expect ownership from them. So your job as the teacher in this room is to really facilitate learning, onboard new students, things like that. The students really need to lead the classroom and run everything. If you walked into a classroom at Morton right now, you would see students facilitating learning, leading small groups, collaborating with the in-class technician, the teacher, and their peers, all really great things like that. And all of it really is for students to be able to lead the room, and that's really an important piece of the TSI classroom. The teacher is not the person who is always in charge, it's our students. So that's really something important. Also, as good educators, we need to set the bar high and have high expectations for our students. As high as the bar is set is as high as our students will go. This is not any different. So we need to make sure that we not only have the high expectations, but we also are making sure that those expectations are as high as the potential that they have, because they will always meet it, and that's no different in the TSI classroom as well. Last but definitely not least, you've done all of this, you've formalized your plan, you've talked to your advocates, now it's time to make the decision to jump. This will be messy. Much like everything else in life that is good, this is a messy process. However, give yourself, your colleagues, your district, and your students the permission to jump. By jumping, you will understand that you will always have someone to catch you, and you will form relationships with your students, your parents, your families, your communities, your colleagues, your administrators that you never thought were possible. And students will really create experiences and opportunities for themselves and be competitive in this ever-changing world. Thank you so much for your time in this opportunity. Hi,
Samantha, thank you so much. You guys, Sonia here from Microsoft. And I just am here because us at Microsoft are so excited about the work you've done.
Thank you.
You saw from the video how meaningful this has been for your students, and we brought you here because we want all of you out there to be encouraged to do a similar program. You see how powerful this is for students, and so thank you so much. And so also I wanted to let you know that because we value everything we've done, Microsoft is donating money to your school to help you continue this program because it's been such a huge, big, important thing for your students, and we want to thank you. So thanks everybody. Anthony, back to you.
Thank you so much, Samantha. What an incredible story. Now, for all of you listening to Hack the Classroom and joining us here, if you know of Changemakers or yourself you want to recognize as a Changemaker, nominate at aka.ms/share your story. And don't forget, join us in the Microsoft Educator community to earn your Hack the Classroom badge at HTC June 19 to make sure you're getting recognized for joining us here today. One tool that's made a huge difference in powering the lives of students is the Immersive Reader. Our next Changemaker, Louis Oliveira, is a shining example of using that tool in his Middleton High School in Rhode Island for second language learners to learn English across all their classes. He's going to reflect on the impact it's making and share how he's using Flipgrid to reflect on how students are learning after the classroom. Take it away, Louis.
My name is Louis Oliveira. I'm the Director of Unified Arts at Middletown High School in Middletown, Rhode Island. I also work with the English language learners at my school. I also function as a technology coach, helping teachers to incorporate technology into their classes. My English language learners come from all over the world, but I have two main groups: Portuguese speakers from Brazil and Spanish speakers from Guatemala. I also have students from Oman, Georgia, Ukraine, Jamaica, Japan, Portugal, and Chile. My students range from non-English speakers to students who are ready to exit the program. My main role is to help my students acquire enough English to be successful in all of their classes. With that in mind, I utilize technology to help my students have access, a voice, and opportunities to participate with their English-speaking classmates. Two of my favorite tools are the Immersive Reader in OneNote and Flipgrid. I am now going to demonstrate how I introduce the Immersive Reader to my new students.
I show my English language learners how to use the Immersive Reader in OneNote by doing a live demonstration. I'll take them to a site like Newsella that we often use in class, and we'll copy some text from that site and bring it into the OneNote. I then will show them the different features after turning on the Immersive Reader and show them how to do that. We'll play it.
This is of special concern in the inner city, where families have few.
This is usually a good time to show them that they can raise and lower the speed of the text.
Fitness resources outside of school.
This is very beneficial to the students who are just learning English to slow the text down and be able to play it at their pace. I also show them the different features, how they can change the text size, how they can change the font, they can increase the spacing to make it easier for them to read, as well as changing the different color schemes of the text. We then move on to being able to break up the text into syllables, as well as to be able to color coordinate the parts of speech and show the labeling of those parts of speech. This is helpful when I'm teaching them the different parts of speech in English. We then move on to the next piece, which is I show them the line focus and how this is very helpful for the students who are first learning the language, because it allows them to focus on a particular area. I then show them the picture dictionary, and this is usually one of the pieces that they love. And they can see a visual representation of words that they may or may not know, and this helps to validate whether they know it or not. They also can listen to the pronunciation.
City.
We then go into the translation, and this is really, really a cool feature. It's a great feature and very helpful to my English language learners, and this is by far their favorite feature of the Immersive Reader. First, we translate by word. That same word that we looked at now can also be heard in Spanish or whatever language the student selects. And then we translate the entire document. Again,
De la ciudad donde las familias tienen pocos recursos de fitness.
And again, the students can change the speed if they need to increase it or decrease it.
Fitness fuera de la escuela.
Even in their first language. This is the moment when the students' faces really light up. This is when they begin to see how they can use this tool to help them in all of their classes. They're able to bring text in from their English class or from their social studies class or from their science class. This student has some text here from English 9 and from physics, and this is an ELL article that we actually worked on. So this tool helps my students be able to function in their mainstream classes with their English-speaking peers. Another tool that is extremely helpful to my English language learners is Flipgrid for oral practice. We use Flipgrid for introductions at the beginning of the year, for oral dialogue journals, to discuss literature, and to participate in global collaborations. So we have many different topics, whether it be reflections of their vacation or the students discussing their year at Middletown High School, reflecting on their entire year, saying hello and goodbye, and giving advice to new students, doing presentations on their countries. We use Flipgrid all of the time. The main reason for that is because it provides lots of opportunities for my English language learners to practice their English in a safe environment. They can do it at home, they can do it out in the corridor, they can go into a quiet room somewhere in the building, and this makes it so that my students' silent period is really lessened. One of my favorite features is the mixtapes. I created mixtape for each one of my English language learners at the beginning of the year, and then I have them I add all of their videos throughout the year. The reason for doing this is so that the students are able to see their growth over time. This is very important because often the students don't feel like they're learning, and when you're able to put together a listing of all of the videos that they did from the beginning of the year in September all the way till June, when they get ready to leave for the summer, and they're able to listen to themselves as they recorded from the beginning of the year all the way throughout the year, and at the end, they really gain a confidence level that is really difficult to instill in them in any other way. Seeing is believing, and it is amazing how much growth they do acquire over time and how important it is for them to see that growth. I also use it to see what areas I need to improve on, as one of the videos that the students do is a reflection of the class and what they liked about the class and what areas I can improve on myself.
As an English language learner myself, I wish that these tools were available when I was struggling to learn English. As a language professional, I see the benefits of these tools in reading comprehension and oral proficiency for my students. As a technology coach, my goal is to help teachers to incorporate these tools into their everyday teaching. I especially want to concentrate on using Office Lens to make it easy for teachers to input information into the Immersive Reader from their own classes.
I love it that Louis has made it his mission to make sure teachers and students across the school are using these tools to make an impact in education, and I hope all of you can do the same. You may have heard that we've shared some recent updates to our Teams product based on feedback that all of you have shared on how we can make it easier and more powerful for you in the classroom. It's amazing to think that this powerful communications and collaboration tool just released 2 years ago, and it's incredible to see experiences. Now, one example comes to us from Jen Paternal from the Philippines. She teaches in De La Salle D University's night school, which provides free quality education for adults, and Teams enables them to share wherever they are. So Jen's going to share us 13 tips for how we can make it easier for all of you to use Teams in your classroom. Take it away, Jen.
Hi everyone, my name is Jen, and I'm from De La Salle University Dasmariñas from the Philippines. I teach there. De La Salle University is a Filipino Catholic university that's located in the Philippines, and it offers like a lot of different programs from higher ed to junior high school. And one of the programs being offered in that university is what we call the DLSUD Night College, which supports the mission of the school of teaching minds, touching hearts, and transforming lives. So the students in the DLSUD Night College are all working students, and our primary objective is to give them like a quality education that will help them graduate and have a better future. So these are the underprivileged students in the province, so we are like supporting them so that they can continue going to school. So I'm a volunteer, and all of the teachers there are volunteer, and we don't really get paid for the volunteer teaching job that we do because we love the students, we love the school, we love the mission, and we love education. So that's the reason why we're volunteering. I've been a volunteer for like 9 years already, and one of the things that helped me in my volunteer teaching job is when I use cool tools, digital tools in the classroom. So aside from teaching, I'm also a professional learning development specialist in Cypher Learning. I'm also the e-learning global director for e-learning integration. And I travel all throughout Asia Pacific region training teachers in K-12 on how to use technology in the classroom. And one of the tools that I teach them is Microsoft Teams. I'm using it in my classroom now because it helps me a lot. There's a lot of these advantages that we can get from Microsoft Teams. For one, it's inclusive. Everyone will have access to teaching and learning tools anytime, anywhere. So Microsoft Teams allows everyone to have access to education and information anytime, anywhere. Another cool stuff about Microsoft Teams, it's a safe environment for everyone to collaborate. So I also love that it amplifies the students' voice so that they share whatever information that they have or ideas that they have. And I also love that it makes my classroom borderless. I can be anywhere, anytime, and I can still teach. My student can still participate in a discussion, and it's really cool. It's like giving everyone access to education, literally anytime, anywhere. I'd like to share a little bit of my experience when we started using Microsoft Teams. It was like a little bit funny and challenging because this is the first time that my students are using Microsoft Teams, and everyone is getting the hang of it. But once they get connected, and I started the discussion, everyone was literally so engaged in the discussion. They were participating even more engaged, I would say, than my face-to-face class. Because during a face-to-face class, people will be like, the students will be so shy to raise their hands and participate in the discussion. But with Microsoft Teams, they feel like they're in their zone, like they're in the social media platform and just participating in any discussion. So it allows my students to be even more creative and more participative. So you might be wondering how I get started and how I prepared my students for this. Since I know that this is going to be their first time, I've already asked them to download the app so that it's easier for them to get connected whenever and wherever they are. So I also make sure that they have their Office 365 working, and the schedule is also being posted in the elements that we're using in our university. All right, so I also created groups in Microsoft Teams to make sure that my students can collaborate with whatever activities that we have, and they can easily share files and they can easily communicate with each other. So now what I'm gonna do next is to give you my lucky 13 tips on how you can get started with Microsoft Teams. First tip, and the first thing that you need to do is to download the app, both for mobile and desktop. So this is really helpful because even if you're teaching in elementary, high school, or even in a university, with this app you can have access to the information and the class anytime, anywhere. Next tip, you can also use Microsoft Teams for blended virtual classes. So what you can do is you discuss face-to-face, and then you continue the discussion virtually using Microsoft Teams. You might also want to use Microsoft Teams for flipped classes. So it works pretty well, especially in the middle school or elementary or high school. So what you can do is upload all the videos, all the photos that you need to use before you even meet them in class. And then right after that, when you meet them in class, what you can do is to just facilitate the activities that's related to all of the lessons and videos that you have uploaded in Microsoft Teams. It's also going to be cool if you can use the tabs area to add additional app that you can use to get your class more engaged. I added Flipgrid, and I think you'll love that tool. So if they want to use a method of participating using a video, add a tab, add Flipgrid or any other apps that you want to use. It's a lot of apps that's available in the tabs area of Teams, so you can use that. Then you can also create channels based on different topics, so it will help a lot. You can continue the discussion even after the class with that discussion forum. You also want to create a channel for discussion forums. So these are topics that they can just post any idea that they want. And for students who are absent in class, probably because they got sick or something came up, you might want to create a channel for remedial classes. So you can upload everything, all lessons that a student have missed, and they will just access it from Microsoft Teams. And this is very important. Every session that you have in Microsoft Teams, you have to record it so that your students can have access to it even after the virtual class. You might also want to use the general channel for general announcements that you have. Everybody can see it, everyone can have access to it, and they get information literally accessible anytime, anywhere. I also want you to try and let the students know that they can make use of the notes section so that when you're doing your virtual class, it will be easier for them to take notes of the important ideas and key learning during the virtual session using the notes part of Microsoft Teams. And if you want your students to be more engaged collaborating, just simply create a collaboration activity channel for your students, and they can easily share files and communicate with each other. And last, my lucky 13 tip, use Microsoft OneNote in your Microsoft Teams. It's built in Microsoft Teams, and it's really easy to set up. All right, so that's my lucky 13 tips. Microsoft Teams has really helped me a lot in transforming the way that I teach and transforming the way that my students are learning. It literally gave them like a really good learning experience. So if I were you, start learning Microsoft Teams today by going to education.microsoft.com. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen. Those are great tips to share, and I hope all of you can leverage the power of Teams to make not only remote learning possible, but bring great collaboration and communication across your students, across classrooms. I hope you're taking advantage of Teams and learning from Jen's tips. Be a change maker with Teams. Before we get to our last change maker, I want to thank all of you for joining us at Hack the Classroom and remind you to participate in our live Q&A. Go over to the Microsoft Education Twitter channel, hashtag Hack the Classroom, and hashtag question to get your live questions answered by all of today's presenters and hosted by Sonia. Also, use HTC June 19 to get your MEC credit in our community. Now, our last presenter is an amazing change maker. He's been with us before at other Hack the Classroom events. He's a 4th grade teacher in Hackensack, New Jersey. He's also an amazing poet, and he's going to bring us together by showing us the connection between social and emotional learning and how you as educators can make a difference in lives. Take it away, Tony.
This work is about the most challenging and rewarding work you'll find. It's the work of changing the world. Now remember, if you want to change the world, love your students. If your students make it hard to love them, love harder than you normally allow yourself to love. Your heart is mostly made of muscle, so work it out. Your students are completely filled with potential they may never have learned about, so never miss an opportunity to remind them or help them find it. That is what this work is about. And I know many are focused on grades and test scores and data points too, which is funny, because in searching for factors and making success happen, happiness is exactly what the research and data points to. It's not that happiness is the goal. That's actually well-being. Still, what better source of motivation than as much happiness as we can pour out into their well-being? Filled be a bottomless pit of chances. Some students wear their issues on their faces. Some students hide their hearts in their throats or their sleeves. Some students act out because they've never felt what a safe space is, and instead of embracing the change, they fear falling apart in front of others, so they'd rather leave. Some students will push you away until you stay away and prove that they were right all along, and some of those same students are praying they're wrong. What I'm saying is, the work is digging down into the core first, because anything that will bubble up to the surface starts there, and we won't make it through the crust or the mantle if we don't handle it with care. If we don't care, what's the purpose? Every one of us is a world unto ourselves and a part of this world we inhabit. This is world-changing work, molding minds, so let's change the mindset that we go to work with. This work is about engaging and empowering every learner we are there for and creating a culture and environment where everyone feels valued and cared for. The imprint you leave is not just a footprint, it's a fossil, and it can be washed away early on if we don't bury it under layers of support for what they may not yet know is possible. Remember, before they are a student, they're a person. Before you're a teacher, you're a person. And we've got that in common, so let's make that human connection first, then watch how much better the system works when we see their identity and we see their worth. This is the work. The work is spending enough time making connections so that when it's time to point out a student's mistakes and corrections, they're able to know that it comes from a place of respect and that this is the expectation without an exception. For me, the most important time I've spent with my students has been in conversation, often in circles on the floor, allowing them a minute's reprieve, a minute to breathe, a few minutes to just be, to belong, away from the judgment of right or wrong, where we don't demonize feelings. We recognize them, we sympathize, we empathize, we analyze, we humanize. We do the work of building bonds and bridges between us to provide a safe passage for our words and thoughts and feelings so that they know that support is there when they need it. Without support, there is no foundation. We need to build up the structure before we can place in the information, help them develop resilience so that whatever obstacles arise will not blind their eyes to their brilliance. Teach them self-care and then practice that too, because to take care of them best, you best take care of you. You matter. Teach them that too. That's what this work is about.